almost dropped my notebook, y'all. But listen, we have so much to unpack here, and I'm so excited about this video. Listen, in the words of A. Philip Randolph, freedom is never granted. It is won. Justice is never given. It is exacted. Always remember that. All right, in this video, I'm going to go over 5 themes that are already popping out to me, things that I have felt or kind of seen that's in this work called The Reformatory by Darnaya Darice. I'm sure you've seen so many people, or heard so many people talk about it as far as the booktube world, those who review books. But listen, this is such a good read. I'm only 102 pages in, and listen, I am already hooked. My attention is grabbed, so let's talk about it. Well, I'm Darnaya Darice. If you are new here, first name, middle name, thank you so much for tuning in. For all of those who've been subscribing to my channel, I greatly appreciate you. I hope we're able to learn, grow, trade information as we continue to build. On this channel, I do lifestyle motivation and bookish content and more. So come on, let's read, let's grow, let's do this thing called life together, okay? So if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Come on and join us over here. No, I know we've seen this. This book is so attention grabbing early on. Now, I started reading this. Today is Tuesday, February 4th. Okay, we're going to get it right. We're going to get the dates right, okay? We are. Okay, today is Tuesday, February 4th. I started reading this February 1st on Saturday. Now, I haven't had a lot of time on this past weekend to read a lot. I only read a few pages here and there because I had so much going on. But I started diving more deeply yesterday and today, and it's such a good read. It's so hard to put down. And this book is written from a narrative point of view, right? It's written in third person, but even though it's from a third person point of view, I feel like I'm a part of the story because it feels like it's going in and out. I feel like between the two main characters, Gloria and Robert Stevens, which are teenagers at this point. Well, Robert Stevens Jr., he's like a 12-year-old. He's kind of the main focus as we go so far in the novel. And also Gloria Stevens, I believe she's like 16 in the book, and is set in the 1950s in Florida, in a town called Gracetown. And you know how it is. It's all things the South, and the people act like it, okay? They act like it was the 1800s still. But you're in Gracetown, Florida, and already it's just getting so good. Now, there's another book called Good Company that I read in January that's also third person, and it was a good read, but I didn't feel like I was necessarily there watching the story like I'm the cousin or something and I'm experiencing what's going on, because the sister is essentially, the brother and sister walk to school. The sister is no longer in school because she's required to work now, or she has to work. She wanted to further her education into college and things of that nature. It hasn't worked out, and she works for a lady named Miss Ann, whose father used to be a councilman, but her father passed, and I believe Miss Ann is white, I believe. And Gloria kind of speaks properly, if you will. That's how it's described in the book. She speaks well, and she tries to keep a persona where it's not so necessary, like not so offending with the other people in the town, okay? She's trying to show like, hey, I'm smart, but you know, I'm gonna keep my brother in line, if you will. And at some point at the beginning of the story, they're walking down this road, McCormick's Road, who used to be, that family used to be slave owners, and when the son pops out, another young boy pops out of the fence while they're walking and kind of says some funny things to Gloria Stevens, or Gloria, what's their last name? Yeah, Gloria Stevens. And the brother doesn't take it well, because the boy Lau McCormick's like, come to the swimming hole with me, you know how the others do. You kind of giving like sexual advances, unwanted sexual advances, and the brother keeps asking Lau to, hey, or telling him, yelling to stop, leave my sister alone. Gloria's like, hey, no, I got this. Ultimately, Lau pushes the brother kicks the Lau McCormick, which is a young white boy, and the father, Red McCormick, comes out and starts beating apparently Robert in the ear, and then ultimately Robert gets in front of a court or a judge, no jury or anything, no evidence. It happens so quickly. They go home, and then a sheriff pops up at the door. It's no trial. He's not really given time to present evidence. He's so scared he don't really state everything that actually happened, and ultimately he gets sentenced to 6 months in the Reformatory, which they also call aka Gracetown School for Boys, but it's a reformatory. And he's heard so many bad things about the reformatory, what's going on there, how people are treated. They have things, you'll see these notions where he sees haints, which are kind of like a ghost. If you look up haints, it's kind of a word that comes from the Gullah area in North Carolina. They use the word haints to represent like ghosts or evil spirits and things. And so it's such a great read. Like I said, even though it's written in kind of like a third person point of view, I feel like I'm there walking through everything. And I'm not going to keep you too long. Let's quickly go over the 5 things that I see. One, with being 100 or so pages in, I see grief, because immediately you find out that Gloria and Roberts are living alone. Gloria's kind of raising her and the brother, because their mom had passed away. I got my notes here because I don't want to miss anything, but their mom has passed away, and their father has had to kind of flee. He fled to Chicago because to avoid retaliation of union talk, you know, at that time, refusing to work the fields and doing overly hard labor. And so you see, they do a good job of each of the characters that mention have some form of grief that I see when I read. Let me know what you were seeing when you were reading. If you already read it, if you haven't read it, go read it. It's so good. But I see a form of grief. Miss Ann, who Gloria works for, cooks, cleans, and all that good stuff. Miss Ann, her father's died, like I mentioned, and Gloria and Robert, the mom has passed away and the father has fled. So they are just moving through life trying to navigate. Also, the other theme I see is like you do see racism, prejudice showing up in the book, but it's so uniquely written. It's not invasive, or it's not, you know, so pounding in your face. But Tananarive does a great job with highlighting the different perspectives of the Black and white peoples at the time, and the treatment of Black people when it comes to the people who are living in Gracetown or near Gracetown who are from the North, and those who were raised in the South in their viewpoint, like Mr. Lohman. He has some kind of compassion, which that's another theme. That third one is compassion that I see in different ways. But he feels like he still can't act on it, because in some ways he is kind of looked upon a certain way, because number one, he's from the North, and number two, it's kind of mentioned that he has a Jewish background and his hair is darker and things of that nature. So he has to deal with his own issues or separation with the people of the town as well. And it's stated that the whites, white, I don't want to say the whites, but the white character, if he goes and he feels like, if I go and help Robert out and not take him, because he's tasked with taking Robert to the reformatory, but if I help him and his sister out, then I may get retaliated against even worse. And another theme, unwanted sexual advances. It does touch on between even young people there, you know, and it's not so more of touching, but it's the talk and the expectation, you know, is there. And it's like, because I asked, or because I offered, or kind of lured to it, it should be done, and it should be no exceptions. And so you kind of see that theme of control there, dominance. And also, you also see the adaptation of compliance and subjugation. And I wanted to define subjugation. Subjugation is the action of bringing someone or something under domination and control. So when you get to the Reformatory, when the story gets to Robert actually being in the Reformatory, he's kind of given a mini tour. He's walking through it's split up from the white section and the black section, and so there are white boys who are also in the Reformatory, but there's twice as many black boys there. And he kind of sees, he's seeing the haints or the ghosts. He's also seeing and smelling. His senses are so heightened because he's like, oh, what's going on here? He's smelling smoke and fire. He goes past a room where there's burning boys. It's crazy. But then he goes into a classroom and he sees, oh, there's a black teacher, and then there's also the person who's walking them is going over the rules, and it's a black male. And so you have black workers there, but you see the compliance of the black workers, even though they know what's going on. It's not quite right, it's not ethical, but there's a feeling of, well, if I'm working here, so if I just stay compliant and subjugate and do what I'm told and try to keep everyone in line, then I can kind of mitigate in some, if you will, the harmfulness that may come to me, and I can try to do the best I can to keep the boys in line. And then you also see like the Boone character, he kind of loves it. He's taken on so far this mentality, like, oh, I'm the overseer, if you will. I'm the one who gets you in shape. If you try to get out of line, you try to run this or that. And you see that some of that black character, he really likes the control, because it seems like, hey, this is the only place where I get some remnants of control and dominance over someone. And unfortunately, it's black young boys as well. And so those are the themes. And so let me go over. So grief, prejudice, racism, unwanted advances, the adaptation of compliance and subjugation, and you also see compassion there. But if you haven't started your TBR, or you're in your February TBR, or you haven't read this, so many people I've seen read this last year, but I'm so excited that this is my first read for February. Listen, I was trying to get done by Wednesday. I don't think I'm going to get done by Wednesday. And it's not because it's not a good read. Again, it is very thick. The wording is thick. It's more narration than dialogue, if you will. It's very detailed and descriptive on what's going on. And so it takes longer to read. Like when I was reading The Housemaid's Secrets, I could read 115 pages in about 2 or so hours. I only read, like, yesterday 73 pages, and it took me almost 3.5 hours throughout my overall day to read just 73 pages. And this is like over 500 pages long. And so yeah, so let me know, what are your thoughts on the book? Do you feel like that you are literally walking with the characters, or going through it with them in every scene, in every part? My next read after the Reformatory will be Real, so I'm excited to read this one as well. That's getting into romance, so you're gonna see the variety, because I'm moving from historical fiction, romance, Southern crime noir, I guess it's called, more romance, more historical fiction, biographical fiction, all black authors pretty much for this month. And so I'm excited to get into all of the books. All right, well, that's all I have for you all for this video. In the meantime, in between time, always remember to keep, you know it, I say it all the time, keep rising.
Just be